Hi, I'm Grace Speroni, and welcome to Conversations with the ERC5. Today, I am delighted to have with us Kristine Allard, Vice President of Development and Communication at Square One. Chris, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you, Grace. I appreciate you inviting me to be here.
Oh, I'm so delighted to have you. I think you guys are phenomenal. So if you could just give us an overview of what Square One provides.
Sure. Well, actually, few people know we're one of the oldest and largest nonprofits in the Western Mass region. We've been around since 1883, believe it or not.
Really? Wow.
And now we've evolved since then, thankfully. We serve about 500 children every day, infants, toddlers, preschoolers, and school-age children for early learning and childcare. And we serve an additional 1,500 families on the other side of our organization, which is family support services. Our approach is really to position all children for success and work with the entire family in order to do that.
That's fantastic. So tell us a little bit more about your programs and how do you go about accomplishing that?
Sure. Well, we have center-based childcare and early learning and family childcare. Family childcare is what most people know as home-based childcare. So we operate a network of about 50 family childcare businesses. They're independent businesses that operate under our system of care. So we handle their training. We support them as they're going through their licensing. We do all the enrollment and billing, kind of all the things that will sometimes trip up new business owners. Mm-hmm. And we keep them full because our program, we normally have a waiting list and folks are calling us all the time. So those businesses stay full. So that's where we serve primarily infants and toddlers. Our center-based programs are geared toward preschool and school-age children. So preschool programming for 3 to 5-year-olds. And then we have our after-school and summer programming for kindergartners through grade 5. It's phenomenal curriculum. Everything is play-based. All of our learning experiences are based in play. So whether that's through Legos or a playful story or acting out their emotions after a story is read, really it's just so important at that young age for everything to be based in play. Mm-hmm. On the family support services side of the organization, we have a host of different programs, all designed to help our families be better parents to the children. So we have home visiting programs for parents in recovery, for incarcerated and post-incarcerated parents. We have play groups. We have a workforce development initiative to support young parents who perhaps they dropped out of school, if they got mm-hmm. pregnant at a young age, didn't finish their education, need some workforce training. We have some phenomenal grant partners in that space to help parents be better providers for their children and position them again for that long-term success.
And that's just it. That's the beauty of it. You're setting everyone up for success.
Yes.
And it is, as a parent, it is a lifelong journey, and you're always learning and adapting. And how wonderful that you have these programs to assist families, to just help us all be better parents. And
well, a lot of our families,
kids.
Exactly. It's providing that early parenting support. Parents are the first teachers of right. their children. Mm-hmm. But we also know that most of our parents are coming to us from a place of some struggles, mm-hmm. whether that's financial or food insecurity is a big common problem between all of our families. Many of our families, as I mentioned earlier, struggle with they're in recovery or they have a family member who's incarcerated, things like that. That can really prohibit a parent from being that best parent that they can be if there isn't somebody there kind of supporting them and just giving them that little lift up to help chip away at some of those barriers, again, so they can focus on really making that child the best they can be. Mm-hmm. And it's really exciting when you get to meet these little ones and you look at them, and we really take great pride in providing experiences for our kids and introducing them to new opportunities. Opportunity is a word we use all the time. We try not to focus too much on the challenges and the hardships that families have, but what can we do to even the playing field and to put opportunities in front of them? And you look at some of these little ones and you think, oh my gosh, that's the first time that we saw them read, or we saw them pick up a baseball bat, or listen to a certain type of music, and you watch their faces, and it's like in amazement, and you think, wow, did we just see, the next professional ball player or the next, world musician, things like that. And you look at these young kids and you just think, where are they going to be? Like, what are they going to be?
What are their
Who are
possibilities?
Right.
They're endless because you introduced them to one of your programs, and maybe it was music, or maybe it was an art class, and all of a sudden we have the next, Picasso. But it's true, because they light up and it's struck a chord and there's magic there. And you continue to foster the magic for families. So I applaud you. That is fantastic.
Thank you.
So I met you when I was actually in senior living, and we worked with you, bringing our seniors and your children together. And that was a beautiful thing, watching them read stories and so forth. So how can people get involved? Maybe someone can't do a financial donation, but maybe they could volunteer. Are there possibilities to do that?
Absolutely. Absolutely. So we do nothing by ourselves. We have partners in everything we do. Funding partners, we have collaborations with other organizations. Those intergenerational visits are so awesome, and we're still doing that. It's so important on both sides of it. It's so important for our little ones to learn from older folks and vice versa. Children have as much to teach as they have to learn. And so we partner quite a bit with our area colleges and the athletes at the different schools. We have a lot of interns from in social services or in early education and care, young people who are learning to pursue careers in those fields. So we take in a lot of interns there. Really, there isn't anything that we can't consider. We get volunteers in to volunteer in the classroom, but we also have volunteers who help us with facilities. We have a group coming in from Liberty Mutual tomorrow to do a cleanup, a spring cleanup on one of our playgrounds. There really isn't anything that we can't consider. And when someone comes to us and says, "Hey, I'd really like to get involved," well, sit down. Let's talk about it. How do you want to be involved? Do you want to work with the children? Do you want to work with our staff? Do you want to write us a check? I'll never say no to that. But it's really, it's very holistic and community based. As I said, there isn't anything we do by ourselves.
Well, it's a beautiful thing that you are so creative and you think outside of the box. And how can we engage the community in making this magic happen that you do every day? So you talked about funding, and of course everything needs to be funded. How else can you make all this happen? Let's talk about some of your events, because some of them, like the Kentucky Derby, everyone looks forward to that.
That's a fun one.
And there's many others. Anything that you're working on that you want to share with us?
Well, the Derby Party is our big annual event every year. It's become sort of a signature for us. We're so lucky that we have amazing partners in the community that say, "Hey, we would like to do this event. We read about you in the news, or I saw you online. We saw your Facebook post. It kind of inspired me." And that's why conversations like this and staying visible are so important to us, because we get a lot of feedback from folks that say, "Hey, I just read something about you and I have an idea." So we've got a great event coming up in September, a group called Friends on a Mission that is hosting a reception to help us fund a new playground at our site over in Mason Square on King Street. We have a few other partners in there that are involved with that too. Ride to Remember recently presented us with a check for $10,000 to support that too. So we can really get creative with that, but we love it when folks come to us. Feed the Kids is an organization. Many folks recently saw that they were named as difference makers, and they certainly, meet that description and then some. They host a golf tournament every summer, and the funds from that, they they submit funding for us for our nutrition program. Our children have breakfast, lunch, and snack with us every day, Monday through Friday, which is very expensive. And the work that Feed the Kids does on our behalf makes a huge difference in that deficit operation. So we have amazing partners. And while we are part of all of these events, it's so special that people call us and say, we'd really like to do this for you. It's just amazing, the goodness in people out there, and the business community, and volunteers. I mean, there's a lot of power in that. And I say to volunteers, I know you've visited us in the past, you just never know what conversation, what story you read, what craft project you did with the children, what activity is really going to pull them in a different direction when some of the other influences in their life are pulling them in a direction we don't want them to go in. Who's going to be that person, that teacher, that volunteer, the therapist who said, one thing, or read a story, or did that activity that suddenly inspires those children to go in a different direction? It's a pretty powerful place.
Yeah. And that's the beauty of volunteering. Sometimes, most of the times, you get so much more back
100%
from volunteering. And you do see that spark in the child, and that just makes everything right in the world, right? Because they light up, and you know that, yes, this mattered. And who knows what you now have inspired in this child.
Well, and
So
it
that's a
works both
beautiful
ways.
thing. Yeah.
I have the privilege, in my world where I'm raising money every day out there, looking for funders and looking for partners and sponsors for every initiative that we have going on. Sometimes you hear no and you think, oh my gosh, how am I going to do this? Like, I've got to get this done. And I have like the best reset button out there. I mean, we have hundreds of preschool kids every day. I can just walk into a classroom and have a 10-minute conversation with, these happy, beautiful children. And I think, okay, now I get it. I'm back to work. I've got to figure this out. Who am I going to call? What conversation am I going to have? Because that's all the inspiration you need. Our children, they need and they deserve every opportunity to position them for success.
That's fantastic. So I wish we had more time to talk about all the wonderful things that you do. But for individuals or businesses and organizations that are listening, how can they maybe plan a visit, or how can they learn more about how they can support you, help out, and get more involved with Square One?
Well, I love that, and thank you for asking that. If you visit our website, it's startatsquareone.org. All of the contact information in there, folks can reach out. They can email me directly. They can give a call to our office, which is 413-732-5183. Just ask to speak with me, and we will get you set up. I'm always happy to have a conversation and talk about our work.
Sounds fantastic. Chris, thank you so much for making time to join us today. And I encourage everyone, if you have the opportunity, make the opportunity happen. Visit Chris at Square One. Thank you so much for joining us today for Conversations with the ERC5. If you would like to be the next guest here with us at Stonegate Studios in Wilbraham, go to our website, erc5.com, and you can sign up there.